Recorded live, it's Roster Roast. I'm Run 7. How you doing? Today we're roasting Majin 1. He's got some pretty good TCP, but I see he's making a lot of mistakes. Now, we grade on 5 different things. It's who you're using, their placement, their power levels, their ISO, and what kind of mood I'm in. Team number 1 is a Guardians team. Now, the Guardians team is pretty garbage, especially with Gamora in there. She's a glass cannon. But the biggest problem that I see with this defense is that there are no ISOs in it. Even if you're using a trash team like the Guardians, you should at least be putting level 1 ISOs in there. It costs you almost nothing to put level 1 ISOs on everybody in your roster. So, you really want to get that done because it does give you an edge. Those counterattacks, the heals, all sorts of stuff. It really makes a difference. So get some ISOs on this team for sure. A big knock there for that one. You got Star-Lord next to Rocket, feeding him all the energy. That's pretty good. You should switch Groot and Drax because you actually want Groot to die. He gives those huge bonuses to the rest of the team. So put him in there where he'll get a few more hits. Get Gamora out of there. Honestly, you should probably upgrade this team to something like the Technerva team or something with Minerva and Vision in here. If you do put your ISOs on here, you're going to be Striker on Star-Lord, Striker on Rocket, Skirmisher on Groot, Healer on Drax, and Gamora is... I guess go with Raider on her, but she usually dies before she gets anything done, so maybe go Fortifier on her to keep her alive for a little bit longer. Your power level is fine on this. Honestly, don't invest any more in this team. There's not much value in them. So, yeah, I can't really think anything else. Star level's good. Yeah, so fix your placement, add ISOs. I would change the team altogether. I think this is kind of a waste. If you're just filling in a junk team because you're not using them anywhere else, then that's okay. Maybe you're using Minerva on another team, or you've got... her on an offensive team that you're using. I'm not really sure, but I really don't like this. This is kind of a bad placement. No ISOs really is just a cardinal sin. So I'm going to give you a pretty low grade on that. We're looking at a D for this. Okay, Merc team. Let's see here. We've got missing ISOs again. I don't like who you're using. The placement's wrong. Missing the ISOs, your power levels are pretty wonky. This is all over the place. Okay, so you want to swap out your Merc Trooper with probably Shuri is the best bet. Swap out Bullseye with the Wakandan Killmonger. And then you're going to want to put Skirmisher on your Taskmaster and Striker on everybody else. Do Healer on Shuri, of course, but Striker on everybody else so that you're going with the 3-hit combo. What's going to happen is one of them will attack, Taskmaster will follow up with a counterattack, placing the vulnerable, which will then trigger the vulnerable counterattack by the original attacker getting 3 hits. You do a ton of damage. You need to make sure that Taskmaster is your highest power character in here because he's going to be doing all the damage on this defense. And then you're going to want to go something like Shuri, Killmonger, then Riot Guard, then Taskmaster. No, then Lieutenant, then Taskmaster. Yeah, that's your proper placement. So fix your people, fix your placement, get some ISOs on here. This is a better team to be using, but it's still really kind of screwed up. So D- D plus right there. A little bit better than your Guardians, but you still got lots to fix. Next up is the AIM team. I don't like the AIM team for anything anymore these days. I use them on offense to clean up against the old school Sinister Six. But if you're going to use them on defense, I think you should swap out Monstrosity for Researcher. Crofty just loves me for saying that one. And then I think you should put Healer on Scientist Supreme. You're going to want Skirmisher on Assaulter. I believe you're going to put Healer on Researcher. You're going to put Raider on Gravitron, and probably put Healer on your tank there. Your power levels are all over the place on this team too. You need to get Graviton built up. He needs to be one of the biggest on the team. Placement isn't going to be... Placement really depends on who you're using. I like to put my shields, my aim security more in the middle because she heals adjacent characters. I like Graviton out on the end and Scientist Supreme on the other end with the other three in the middle, anywhere you like, kind of. There's a lot of adjacent things that are occurring. You get speed up with this guy. This guy gives offense up. This heals, and Graviton does something else too, I think adjacent, but I don't really remember. It's kind of a wonky team. Get your ISOs fixed. Probably swap this guy out, unless your Researcher sucks, and then leave him in. It's not a huge difference. It's just Researcher gives you more sustainability. Honestly, it's really terrible team for defense, though. It's a terrible team all across the board. There's not much use for him anymore. I'm going to give you a D for this one also. Okay, next up is a Kree team. Oh, I don't see a lot of these. Especially, we don't see a lot of these Ultimuses. This is where your Minerva is. Okay. So, all right. You put Fortifier on Minerva. I understand why. People are going into this team and they're just going to go straight after Minerva right off the bat. You're making her last a little bit longer by coming in with that, 25,000 extra damage, which is like one basic from somebody. So knock that garbage off. Put Healer on her. She has a ton of healing properties that benefit from Healer. Take her to level 5 Healer too, because you're going to be using her all over the place as a healer. I think you should switch Captain Marvel to a healer also for this comp. And here's why. She's big. You've got her, what? I think she's gear tier 14, maybe 15. I can't tell. 14. Gear tier 14, 6 red stars. She's a beast. If you put her level 5 healer, she is going to be so hard to kill, even without Minerva on this team. Then you're going to need to replace Korath the Pursuer with Drax. You want Drax to be taking the hits on the opening of this team so they have time to really just like take people out. And then if Drax dies, Minerva just goes ahead and brings him right back to life. And then after that, let's see. Ronan needs a Raider ISO. Ultimus, I believe, is a skirmisher because he does a lot of buff clearing. And then, yeah, get rid of Korath. He's fast and he's got synergy with this team, but the problem is that as soon as somebody comes in, they're just going to pick off Minerva before she has the chance to revive anybody. And if they have to go through Drax, they can't be working on Captain Marvel. They can't be working on Minerva. It makes it a kind of a frustrating team to go into. They got to bring in somebody like Zemo to clear that taunt so that they can really, knock them dead. Otherwise, they're punching down. So you got some beastly characters in here, and I think that's a good way to go. All right. So get your ISOs on here. Get your ISOs on here. Placement doesn't matter so much on this team. Switch her over to a healer for sure and switch out him for Drax. I'm going to give you a C for this team. All right, so here's a team that a lot of people are using these days. This is the 3 members of the Inhumans, followed by the 2 key members of S.H.I.E.L.D. And what you want to do right off the bat is get rid of Fury as soon as possible. He is an absolute liability because of the symbiotes and the Axemen. They come in here and they feed off of his spawns that he puts up right off the bat. They get all that turn meter off of them and just go through and wipe this place out. So get rid of him. Put in somebody, either S.H.I.E.L.D. Medic, because she's got synergy with Coulson. You could put in Quake, which I don't recommend. My God, my music is just totally screwing up today. Forget Spotify. Man, that makes me mad. Okay. Yeah, you go with Quake in here, or you can do Squirrel Girl because she'll cleanse in case somebody comes in with a Brotherhood to blind everybody. The Brotherhood is a big counter to this team also, so putting in Squirrel Girl helps with that. Or anybody with an early cleanse, really, somebody that goes right after Magneto does. But you got to get him out of here. He's an absolute liability. He's terrible for this team. Unfortunately, he's just no good anymore. Otherwise, this is a really good team. You've got Stryker over here. I think you should do Skirmisher with Yo-Yo, because when she comes in, she'll call in another assist by one of her Inhuman friends, and it's 50% of the time it's going to be Black Bolt, and he's Striker, so you get that Skirmisher Striker combo. Fortifier isn't really necessary on her. She usually isn't the first person to die. Crystal's keeping her alive, as with everybody else. I like Raider on her. I think you should put Raider on Coulson also, not Striker. He does a lot of AoE and chain attacks, plus he has a lot of crit stuff going on in his kit. When you replace Fury with Medic, she'll be a healer. If you replace her with Quake, she'll be a Raider. And if you replace him with Squirrel Girl, she'll be a healer. Otherwise, this is a really good team. You've got good power levels. Placement isn't such a big deal on this. Man, that's a nice Black Bolt right there. Wow, that's 207. That's pretty fancy. All right, I'm going to give you an A- for this one. Get rid of Fury. Okay, Wave 1 Avengers. Your placement's screwed up. You got the wrong ISOs. All right, so you want to go Captain America on the outside, followed by Hulk, followed by Black Widow, and then it's going to be Thor and Hawkeye on the end. You can also swap Thor and Black Widow if you want to help preserve her health. Sometimes when she comes out of stealth, people can chain off of the Hulk into her and kill her pretty quick. But I think she's tough enough, especially at this power level. She's one of the second most powerful character. Yeah, so have her next to the Hulk, next to Captain America. Captain America does not need Fortifier. Most of your tanks don't need Fortifier. You want him to be a healer, so he's tossing out those big, 15,000 health rejuvenations to people every turn. This team can speed up pretty good with hits coming in on the Avengers, charging up Thor, speeding up Hulk. You want those healths flying around. Now, Black Widow and Hawkeye, you want them to be a Skirmisher Striker combo. I was looking at it. I think you should have Black Widow as the Striker. She clears positive effects on her counterattack, whereas Hawkeye just does some extra crit damage, and he's not gaining much as a Striker. He's just critting that extra 20% with like 15% extra crit damage, which is good and all. But yeah, make him the Skirmisher, her the Striker. Change your placement. Your power levels are good. Get his ISO up to level 3, might as well. That ought to do it. Yeah, I'm going to give you a B+ on that team. It's a pretty good team. You just got the wrong ISO here in the bad placement. Team number 7, DocOc Sinister 6. The first thing I see wrong with this is that you've got a low-level Mysterio in here. Mysterio is a liability just for the same reasons that Nick Fury was a liability. He dies, he creates those 2 and 3 summons, and the symbiotes, the Axemen, feed off of those, get their turn meter going, and just destroy this team. So get rid of him, bring in Swarm, and then you want to get rid of, it looks like, Green Goblin. Get rid of Green Goblin and bring in Electro. Those 2 chargeable characters are really, really good with DocOc. Without DocOc, not so much. But with DocOc, they're actually really good. That's who you want to be investing in. So yeah, get rid of your 2 lowest powered characters off this team and bring in those chargeable characters in their place. You could leave them in the same position as they are now, or you could swap one of them with Rhino so that Rhino can cleanse adjacent characters like DocOc if people try to put a heal block on DocOc. You don't need Fortifier on Rhino. You should go with Healer on him. Raider is correct for Vulture. Healer is correct for DocOc. You've got him level 5. That's good. That glitch is still in play. I don't care what they say. The rejuves are still sticking to the level 5 healers. Your chargeable characters are going to be Raider and or Raider. Yeah. Raider and Raider for both of those. They do AoEs and chain attacks on those chargeable characters that you're going to bring in. Mysterio is he's just no good. You used to have him in here because he called in assists and brought in lots of damage. He's just a liability now, so get rid of him. That's a huge liability, and your Green Goblin is such a terrible character. Yeah, I'm going to give you a B- for this team. It's pretty good, but you got to swap those characters out. And your final team, if I can get my mouse on the cursor the right spot, is team number 8, which is... Ooh, nice little strife there. Good power levels on this team, decent placement. You could swap Mystique and Sinister if you wanted to. I think that you should definitely swap out Sabretooth for Minerva. Adds a little bit of protection from the full X Factor team. They can't bring in multiple man. He will, she'll just feed off a multiple man. And that helps your Sinister to clone the correct person. So, if you're going to run this old school team, though, it's looking pretty good. You've got the correct ISOs on everybody. Strife is one of the few tanks in the game who does deserve barrier. He has a built-in barrier mechanic, and he utilizes it quite well. Also, it looks like those blue ISOs are going to give you a higher level of barrier. So instead of stopping at, like, I don't know what it is, 30% or 80% of the max health, whatever it is, the blue ISOs increase that max cap. So barrier is going to get a lot better. Yeah, I don't see any problems here. Swap out Sabretooth for Minerva will really improve this team, gets you some more defensive victories. Otherwise, it's pretty solid. This is probably your best built team here. I'm going to call this one an A-, simply because it could, at this point, be better. But as the original core team, this is how you want to build it, and your placement is... I mean, there's arguable positions you could do on placement, but this is one of the acceptable ones. So, yeah, pretty good. All right, this has been Majin 1's roster roast. If you like what you saw, please like, subscribe, leave comments down below. There are links in the description to my Twitch stream if you want to come join us here and watch this done live on Twitch. It's Thursday mornings, 9 to noon Pacific. We have a lot of fun, get into some other shenanigans, do some... reviews and stuff like that too. So, thanks for joining us. Remember, don't just have a good game, be good to each other too. Bye.